Okay, I'm going to stop sharing. Stop sharing. Okay, share again. Okay, I want to make sure I'm on the right. Okay, I am. Okay, I'm just going to leave it like this because I don't want to mess with anymore. I'm already aggravated as it is because I can't get the QuickBooks to do what I want it to do because I don't have the newest version. So, this is what happens sometimes. Okay, so we're going to be talking about Social Security taxes. No matter what anybody tells you, Social Security taxes have to be a certain way. It is always 7.65% and always 1.4%. For Social Security, there is a maximum threshold. That is going to be based every single year. They're going to change it. In fact, I can come up here. Let's see. Let's put 2025 threshold, Social Security threshold. And no, 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 no. Okay, threshold, max. Okay, I'm going to put maximum wages. 176, 100. I remember a couple years when it was just 125. Okay. So 176,100. That's only for Social Security. Remember, there's two parts. There's Social Security and then there's Medicare. Medicare is the 1 point. I'm just throwing a blank. 1.4. Anyhow, so Social Security 7.65. Okay, we go over here. Okay, everybody's doing good. Let's come back over here. One time, this was a long time ago during the Great Recession, the government decided, and see, this is what was really, really ticked me off. So I've got some stuff down here. Yeah, I'm doing a budget over here of things I need to purchase. At one point, there was the government decided that they were going to decrease Social Security. I'm sorry, 6.2 and 1.45. There we go. Man, I'm telling you, I'm having a day, aren't I? So let's say Chris. And let's say my gross wages were $1,000. We're going to wrap the puppy and we're going to make this all nice and pretty. Okay, so first thing, let's just go ahead and take out our Social Security and then we'll take out our Medicare. Okay, this times 6.2%, this times 1.45%. And let's say our federal income tax was, let's say it's 25%, just for simplicity purposes, times 0.25. And our state income taxes were 0.3. I think at that time it was like, let's just go plus this times 0.3. Okay. Just for simplicity purposes, okay? That's all I'm doing here. I'm just trying to make it nice, sweet, and easy. And so here's my net pay. So I just want you guys to be aware of what happened. So back in the Great Recession, the powers that be, whoever you want to be happy with, said, we're going to do our best to save you some money. So what we're going to do is we're going to lower the Social Security down to 4.2. Okay, this is going to stay the same. 1.45%. But what they didn't tell you is that they turned around. See this one with this lowered to 4.2. They didn't tell you is that they increased the taxable income rates. Okay. And let's say this is down to 0.2 now. Okay, I got 20 bucks back. That's probably, let's make this one back to 3. Okay. we'll make it 25, just to be nice. Okay, that still gives me a couple extra bucks. Okay, so now what happened here is all the government did was took the Social Security withholdings and transfer it to the federal income tax withholdings. That's all they did. There was a couple bucks difference, but not a whole lot. Everybody was like, oh, you'll get a couple bucks more in your paycheck. I mean, and granted, right here, you can see I'm just messing around with numbers. I gave myself a couple bucks more. But here, they withheld $20 less. But over here in federal income tax, they increased federal income tax withholdings. They withheld $20 more. So it did look like, in essence, that we got more money, but in reality, we did not. This here, and I'm talking government accounting, is a restricted fund. The government is only supposed to use that for Social Security. Okay, that's it. They cannot touch it. Medicare too. Okay, they're not supposed to touch this. Have they touched it? Yes, they have. They borrowed money, but they're not supposed to touch this. They did touch it. So here, they're withholding less money. Less money is going into the Social Security pot. Old people are living until they're 120 years old now. All that neat stuff. Here, this one is what we like to call an unrestricted source of income for the federal government. They can use this money for whatever they want, okay? And they do. No matter which side you land on, they do. So a way for them to get at the Social Security money without getting at the Social Security money, they decrease this withholding. That's the first time they've ever done that. And they increased our federal income tax withholding. So now they transferred that $20 into unrestricted funds. And they can do whatever they want with it. Something for you guys to think about. Always, 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 always think. Okay? Okay. So we're going to identify the purpose for Social Security. There's all kinds of purposes. I get so frustrated, just absolutely frustrated. I watched this woman. I don't know, she must have had 20 kids. And she was complaining that she wished she could have changed her vote because she lost her, oh, by the way, she was a TikTok influencer. So she was getting buck from TikTok. And her state caught up with her and discontinued a good portion of her food stamps, her cash benefits. TANF, you are only supposed to receive those temporarily. You're not supposed to permanently live off cash benefits. She had her rent increased, and I think she lost something else that she had. And she was whining and crying about it, even though this woman was driving a 2024 BMW. I can't afford a 2024 BMW. How am I paying? My tax dollars are paying for this woman who says she's not working and needs all this benefits to get a 2024 BMW? Okay, that's for you guys to be outraged. Okay, applying the current tax rates and wage base. Identify the types of compensations defined as wages, describe the different requirements and procedures for depositing FICA tax and income tax. You have to, okay, that's the 941 report. And you've got to file that quarterly. And then you reconcile it annually with your W-4 statements. Okay, so here we go. Okay, the following must be determined. Employee, if the servicing renders is employment as defined by FICA tax law and you have taxable wages. Be very, very careful by doing the 1099s because if you do too many 1099s, they're going to tell you that you are a sole proprietor and you are responsible for paying both the employer and the employee Social Security deductions. I believe it's 15 point, let's see, 6565. I want to say 65, that's 12, 15.3 or something like that. Okay. Every person is an employer if the person employs one or more individuals for some type of performance. Certain occupations specifically covered by FICA is an agent, full-time life insurance salesperson, full-time traveling or city salesperson for one firm or person, individuals working on home products that the employer supplies and are returned to furnish specifications. More specific, government employees. I'm a government employee. And patriots may be exempt from FICA over 20 countries. Okay, got to pay attention to what country they're in. Expatriates, subject to foreign Social Security taxes. Family employees. Okay, be very careful with the farming. Household employees, if they make wages of 2,700 or more per year, must pay if a domestic employee, such as a nanny or cook, is under your control. And then they have some additional exemptions: inmates, medical interns, student nurses, workers serving temporarily in case of emergency. Okay, all that neat stuff. Okay, here we go. Persons may be classified as an independent contractor if they conduct an independent trade or business. Employers do not pay or withhold FICA on that person. If an employer misclassifies them, there is a penalty. Okay. Generally equal to employer share of FICA taxes plus income and FICA taxes that were not withheld from employee earnings. However, if employee reported earnings on Form 1040, penalty is voided. Okay, so that would be like me. Penalty may be reduced if employer filed a 1099. So right here, I did some work on the side. And if they tried to say I was an employee, they could say, they could be protected because they gave me a 1099, and when I filed my taxes recently, I included that as part of my income. Okay, which of the following employment types is fully exempt from FICA coverage? This one could be services performed by students for private while being enrolled and attending classes in another college. I'll have to see what they say on that one. Delivery of newspapers or shopping news, including delivery to a point for subsequent delivery by individuals above the age of 18. Services performed by civilians for U.S. government. So let's see which one it is. D, services performed by civilians for the U.S. and services are covered by a retirement system. Can't wait. Okay. Okay. That's odd. I read that question wrong. Okay. What are taxable wages? Cash, wages and salaries, cash values of meals, lodging provided for employees' convenience or not provided on the employer's business premises, bonuses and commissions, fair market value of any gifts, stock payments, fringe benefits. Tips greater than $20 in a calendar month. Employees can report their tips to employer using Form 4070. Attributed tip income program. That's based on employers' credit card sales. I think this is what everybody's using. That's why I always at least give a certain percentage, even if the service is crappy, because I want to at least cover their taxes. Employer calculates FICA on tips, withholds from regular paycheck on these reported tips. Must withhold on first paycheck after tips are reported. What a pain, huh? We should just get rid of the tips. I'm getting so sick and tired. Everybody is asking for a tip. If you walk up and you go get a piece of candy bar from Circle K, they're asking you for a tip. Not really, but I feel like it's becoming that much. Okay, specifically exempt wages, meals and lodging on the business property for employers' convenience, sick pay for difference between employees' salary and military pay for soldiers and reservists activated for more than 30 days. employer contribution to retirement plan, employer provided education assistance. And so you can see that right there. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and click through there. So here we go, 6.2 and 1.45. Now, we just went and we saw that according to it's 176, 100. So it has been increased. This is just our regular Social Security. This is our Medicare. Okay. Calculating FICA. How much will be taxed for FICA? Okay. So here is what they made. This is their threshold they'll be using. So right now, this one, we're going to exclude that. Tamara's tax is, that's confusing. 168,600. They don't describe this very well. I'm assuming that they have capped at the threshold, and this is how much maybe she made the previous, and we know that she's going to, that just looks stupid. Okay. I'm in a mood. You guys don't have to forgive me. Both Tamara, see, and here you go. Her health insurance tax is, okay, so she made 7,000. So this was her previous payroll, okay? And I guess she made another 7,240. Well, this is the cap. So we're only going to be able to tax this amount. Okay, that makes more sense now. They should have put that in there before. How much is the FICA? So you get the 128 plus the 104. Employer matches. Okay, here we go. Sambit earns $225,000 per year and is paid monthly. Determine FICA for the November 30th payroll. First, find the prior payroll. And so we can see how much he's paid a year. It's not telling us how many payrolls were run before November 30th. So November 30th, that would be 11 payroll, well, 10 payrolls, and this is going to be the 11th. So 187,500. He's already maxed the threshold. Okay. Okay, for this one, all of it's going to be taxable because there is no limit on Medicare. Okay, self-employed tax is paid if net earnings exceed 400. If you own more than one business, offset losses. So you got 15.3. Okay, this is, remember when I told you, be careful with those 1099s? This is why, because you're responsible for all of it. Count both towards the cap. Okay. Calculating FICA with employment earnings and self-employed earnings. Celia's wages from her job are 170,000. She's already capped. And her self-employment income is 15,000. How much is her FICA on the 15,000? She's capped on her wages. There we go. Calculating. We got Prebin's wages from his job are 68,250 and his self-employment income is 94,500. How much is his FICA on the 94,500? Okay. So together they are less than the 168,600. So I'm going to take that 94,500, multiply it by 12.4. So for this 94,500, he's paying both the employee and the employer portion. That's a lot of money. Okay. SS4 and SS5. Okay, so SS4 to get the employer identification number. SS5 is for an application for a Social Security card. Guard them with your life. 941 is your quarterly form that you must submit to the IRS. And what happens is, so I call them 941 taxes, and that's your federal income tax and your FICA, both Social Security and Medicare for the employee and employer. All of that is combined, and you have to submit that within 3 days of your payroll date. So I got paid on Friday. The college needs to submit it Wednesday. Okay. And then what you do quarterly is you reconcile all the wages you paid for the quarter, and you have to report all of that. And then you reconcile how many of what your deposits were. And your deposits and what your calculation on your total quarterly payroll should be within cents of each other. You'll always have fractions. Okay. It's because of that 1.45. Employers who owe 1,000 or less may file Form 944, Form 945, annual return of withhold federal income should be filed for non-payroll items. Okay, I'm going to keep going and come over here. Okay, and again, what I told you, you always file, I call them 941 taxes, federal income tax, employees, Social Security and Medicare, employers portion of the Social Security and Medicare. Combine all three of those. You are supposed to 3 days after the payroll period. That's the best way to remember it. Okay. There's a 1-day rule if it's $100,000 or more tax liability. Okay. Okay. No deposit is required if it's less than 2,500. New employers are monthly depositors less than 100,000 plus. 1-day rule and converts them to semi-weekly. Deposit making rules that apply to employers of ag resemble those for employers of non-agricultural workers. Household or domestic employees are usually not subject to federal income tax withholding. Each state and local government employer must file its return on Form 941 with the IRS. That's just, and you're just reconciling everything. Okay, you have to do this electronically. You've got to fill out a form to get permission, and then they enroll you, and everything's beautiful. It's super, super easy. You just basically go into the system. You say, this is how much I'm depositing for federal income taxes, how much I'm depositing for Social Security, and how much I'm depositing for Medicare. It's super easy. It's been going on for over 20 years because I remember doing it in 1999. Okay. Either way, EFTPS. You do one directly, or you can do one where you have your bank account initiated. Okay, most employers must now make their deposits via EFTPS. Which of the following is a feature of the EFTPS? It's easy, it's wonderful. Once enrolled, an employer cannot switch between computer software or online methods anytime. To enroll in the EFTPS program, an employer must complete Form 941. I already know that one's wrong. The exception to the EFT is available for businesses with 1,000 or less in quarterly taxes. I want to say that was 2,500. In EFTPS, through a financial institution method, the employer can instruct the bank to send each payment directly to the Treasury. Okay. Let's find out the answer. D. All right. Okay. Here's preparing the Form 941. So basically, this is your gross wages. You're going to run a quarterly wage report. This is your, and here we don't have to worry about this because we're not working with restaurants. You multiply by the 12.4 and the 0.29. 12.4 is 6.2. That's 1.45. You add them up together, and you should have a federal income tax in here too. Where's your federal income tax? We're missing. There should be the federal income tax in here too. So here, total taxes before adjustment. So it's got to be, here it is. There we go. I knew there was it was somewhere around here. There's my federal income tax. This plus my federal income tax, there's my total. I'm off by 15 cents. Very, very, very normal. Okay. Totally normal. It is what it is. It's because of this 1.45 right here. And there's my total taxes. Now, what they have to do next is you've got to, if you are a monthly depositor, but we're usually a quarterly, or not a quarterly, gosh, every 2 weeks. They're not showing you the every 2 weeks. Okay. They have one here. This is just for the quarterly. Okay, you got month 1, 2, 3. Normally they have the quarterly where you have to fill it in how much you deposited it on what days. Okay. And that's that. Then you sign it, you send it off, and you're a happy little camper. Okay. Okay. Most of it is very self-explanatory. It is one of the easiest forms to prepare. Tips and group life insurance, uncollected FICA taxes on tips and group term. Okay, that's part 1. Okay. Hang on just a second. I'm going to put this on hold while I answer that. Okay, so here we go. Some of these that you really got to pay attention to, of course, is your tipped employees. Those stupid fractions of cents. Again, that's from that 1.45. And sick pay adjustment for employee share of FICA taxes that were withheld by a third-party sick pay payer. That sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? Okay, we got tips on the group term life. Now, I don't have to worry about this anymore, but I do have to pay taxes on my life insurance. So that's kind of something really interesting. And then there are qualified small business payroll tax credits for increasing research activities. There's also some other tax credits out there that you've got to pay careful attention to if you get into this situation. For example, Arizona at Work, they have 2 different types of programs. One type of program doesn't have any withholdings, and the program pays for the person's wages, and they pay minimum wage, and they get the whole wage. They don't have any taxes, nothing withheld. And then there's another one where there's a certain credit for the employer. It's very different. You've got to pay attention to those. Okay. Okay, they're just telling us exactly how to prepare it step by step. I think it's very self-explanatory, so I'm not too worried about it. Okay. This is what we want. We need to have that payroll register, quarterly payroll register. We need to have a record of all of our tax deposits for 941 taxes. You need the general ledger for wages, forms 470, written statements, cash tips. You need all that information. Our general ledger balances. And again, like I said, that payroll register, that's the one that was the most important to me. I never had to worry about tips, but if I did, I would have some way I would be tracking it, probably on a spreadsheet with backup documentation. I may even have it where they have to input the data themselves and then into a database, and then I just run the database and maybe give them some type of like a special number that when they enter in their tips, they type in, let's say 1, 2, 3, 4, and then put their tips in. And then when they put that 1, 2, 3, 4 in, it's signifying that it is such and such employee. And we can verify that it is that employee going back to them. Just CYOA, cover your own assets always. I keep saying that over and over again. I was saying that all weekend long. CYOA, CYOA. Okay. Okay, and there's some of the other things they're talking about. And again, this is all just preparing it. It's very self-explanatory. It's one of the easiest to create. Okay, how to report and reconcile FIT and FICA. You do have to reconcile it, okay? That is no ifs, ands, or buts. You have to make sure you can identify what is in that general ledger account. You're going to have those stupid cents, okay? When you have those stupid cents, make sure that you can reconcile those out, or else you're going to end up carrying balances forward that are unrealistic, even though they are just a few cents, but over time they can add up. Okay. Types of penalties. I got, and this is back in the early 2000s, I got a tax lien for a contractor. They did a huge bid for us on a set of apartment complexes we were constructing. And they did what they needed to do, yada, yada, yada. Before they had just got done, I just got the bill and I was getting ready to pay them when I got the tax lien in. And I wasn't allowed to give them any of their money. I had to send it all to the IRS. But here's the deal. It was all 941 taxes. So remember, what are 941 taxes? That's federal income tax. That's withheld from the employee. Social Security taxes withheld from the employee. Medicare taxes withheld from the employee. And then the last two, Social Security taxes, employer match, Medicare taxes, employer match. So the majority of what this construction company did not pay it belonged to the employees, and the company didn't pay it. And we're talking, I want to say it was close to $1 million. Okay. So they hadn't been paying it for a while. Be really careful because that company, I heard, this is the gossip that you hear in the dark corners and down the shady halls, that whenever the government caught up to them, they would close the company, bankrupt it, and then turn around and open up another business. So they used those employees' wages to fund themselves. So be really, 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 really careful. So these are some of the things that could happen if you do not, the penalties you could pay. Okay, there's a discussion activity and there's a self-assessment. And then I'm going to go, oh, I'm done. Okay, I will see you guys in a couple weeks for the next chapter. This should be pretty relaxing because there's not that many chapters and we're taking it very slow. And I want you guys to, I find payroll thoroughly enjoying. And I hope you do too. Or at least I know you'll probably like it a whole lot better than QuickBooks right now because I want to bang my head. But I got to get you guys graded too. So we'll get you guys there. We'll get you there and we'll get you to the point where you learn how to manipulate QuickBooks. Even if QuickBooks doesn't teach you how to do it, I will teach you how to do it. So there we go. So we will see you in the next chapter.